afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be right now. It's good to be here together. As we're coming in and finding our meditation posture, we're going to have a seat. You can be on a pillow or mat on the floor with your legs crossed, arms either resting gently on your lap or to your side. You could be in a chair like I am, with your feet flat to the floor, chin and thighs parallel to the ground. You could be lying on your back in Shavasana or sitting in a park bench, your desk chair at work, wherever you may be. Just find balance and breathe. You can close your eyes if you'd like, and if that's not something you are able to do or are comfortable with, that's okay. Just leave your eyes open with a soft gaze just a few feet in front of you. As we sit and bring our bodies into balance, notice any points of tension that you find along the way. And sometimes it's helpful to bring some extra focus to those places and really tense those muscles up intentionally, and then you can release them. So giving the neck a roll can help. Bringing the shoulders up to the ears, rolling them back and forward and back, and release. When we're breathing for this meditation, we want to be breathing with our diaphragm. So breathing through the nose, and as you inhale, the stomach will grow as the diaphragm pulls downward. And as we exhale, pull the belly button towards the spine. Really get a full exhale. Bring the shoulder blades together just a touch, opening up the chest and the heart space. Today we'll begin with Kapalbhati. Shining skull breath. This is a particular pranayama that exerts the exhale, focusing on the exhale of our air and the diaphragm muscles. This is a diaphragm intensive breathing. If you have any breathing issues or heart issues, I encourage you to take it easy with this type of breath. Listen to your body. If you begin to feel faint or dizzy, or if you begin to feel that you're struggling to breathe, just go back to normal breath. The practice here is not intended to create suffering or create struggle. So if this is a practice that is difficult for you, just focus on deep, long, extended inhales and deep, long, extended exhales through the duration of this practice. Okay? So, the practice here. We begin by pushing down on our hips to pull our chest up, stretching the torso, the abdominal muscles. The stomach is being stretched. And when you exhale through the nose, you should feel a bit more of a stretch happening inside of your stomach region. Okay. This means that the diaphragm is what's being activated and pulling up and down, stretching those muscles. Take a few deep breaths like this. And we'll begin the breathing practice by exhaling sharply through the nose, and then we allow for the inhale to just happen naturally. Okay, we are not focusing on the inhale here at all. And we do this in an increasingly rapid succession. Okay, so as we begin, we're exhaling through the nose though. Then we can slowly increase the speed and the rapidity of the breath. And with each forceful exhale of all of the air that you can force out, then the body will naturally be bringing air back in. Okay? And we're going to do this for 3 rounds. And we'll count 30, 40, and 50. Those are going to be the 3 rounds. Okay? In between each round, we'll pause for a few breaths. So if you're starting to feel like you are wearing out, don't worry. You'll be able to reset between the rounds. But again, if at any point you feel uncomfortable, you feel discomfort, you feel pain or struggle with this style of breath, just return to natural breath. Okay. So hands right at the top of the thigh, pushing down. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. And out. One more breath. In the nose, out the nose. Now breathe in. And forcefully exhale and begin. Relax the arms and breathe. And we'll begin round 2, pushing the body up. Breathe in and begin. And breathe. And final round. Stretch the body, straighten the arms, bring the shoulders down. Inhale, exhale, in and begin. Just breathe and relax. You can move your body around, get a reset after that breathing practice. And the next breathing method that we'll do today before we go into meditation will be Nadi Shodhana breath. And we're just going to go into the meditation immediately following the practice. So this practice is alternate nostril breathing. Okay, we're going to begin in Vishnu Mudra. Small finger and third finger extended, thumb extended, first and second fingers folded, or extended, separated, and placed on the third eye. You're going to cover the right nostril with the right thumb and exhale completely from the left, then inhale completely. Switch, covering the left side of the nostril with the two fingers that are extended. Exhaling completely from the right side and inhaling completely from the right side. This is one round. And we'll just repeat these rounds until it feels right. You might find a bit of resistance on one side or the other, and this is okay. Just breathe gently through it, and then try to match both sides with the length of inhale and exhale. So matching the more open side to the more restricted side is what I recommend. Okay, we'll begin. Exhale from the left, inhale from the left. Switch fingers, exhale from the right, inhale from the right. Switch. I want to complete the round by exhaling from the left side and release. So when you come back to the left side and you exhale, you can release. Return to your meditation posture, elongating the spine, opening the chest. You could be in Chin Mudra with your palms down or Jan Mudra with your palms up. First finger and thumb slightly touching at the tips. You can also have one hand resting gently on the other. And as we begin the meditation, take note of your breath. The timbre and the quality of your breath. The feeling of your body. Any sensations you may be having. Be present with your emotions, whatever may be coming up. Bring your focus to the middle of the forehead, your third eye. Remember to breathe long, slow, controlled breaths as you maintain focus on the third eye. Follow the breath in. It fills the body. You can feel the expansion. Feel what it is to have the sensations of the different parts of the body as the breath moves in. And on the exhale, feel the release as the body lets go of this air, of this hold. Feel yourself letting go. And release. If you find you're struggling to feel a deeper release, this is okay. This is where we are today. Just notice how your body is feeling in this moment. Bring your hands together and warm the palms. Place them over the eyes and the cheeks. And good stretch. Bring the hands above the head. Reach. Bring the shoulder blades together. Okay. Take your time coming out of this meditation. It's good to have a cup of water or tea nearby. Because I don't like to get up immediately after my morning sessions. I don't like to jump right into it, but so I have everything ready so that I can sit and feel the open space that we've just created, really. You know, and we spend so much of our time and energy in movement and moving through life, but in doing so, we're tensing and closing some of our focus and our attention away from things we encounter throughout our day. Right? We have become so enmeshed in information of the world that we are constantly being inundated with it. And this information is pulling us one way or another all day long. Right? We're constantly in value judgment. We are putting ourselves up against the world in comparison. We're comparing others in our lives. We're comparing our jobs to a dream job that we may have, or our home to a dream house. We have all of these value judgments pulling us one way or another. We are being told who to fear, who to trust. And all the time, our bodies are the playground that these emotions are being tugged around on. Right? And our thoughts tend to run the show. We tend to allow our thoughts to take over. Because we've been relying upon this logical mind to deal with these logical problems with logical solutions for so long. And maybe, like me, when you were a child, you learned in so many different ways that no matter how you're feeling, you've got to get back up on that horse and keep going, right? Or this isn't about your feelings, you know. And we learn to ignore how we feel. Not just our emotional state, but how our intuitive body feels. So We spend a lot of time practicing this. And as we come back into our bodies through these yogic practices, right? This is a form of yoga. This meditation, in fact, it's the practice that is discussed in the Yoga Sutras, right? Raja Yoga, the King's Yoga, right? Yoga of the mind. The yoga of controlling the interaction of the mind to the body and not letting one force dominate. This is the important thing to understand, right? We live in our mental body, but we ignore the intuition. And oftentimes intuition comes to us in the form of feelings, gut feelings, feelings in our body. And this is how we connect. This is how we connect to other humans in suffering, to other humans in celebration. You know, when you're at a restaurant and you hear a birthday happening for a child at another table, right? You perk up and everybody looks over and you're sending some adoration to this child on this happy, momentous occasion, right? Well, your body is also feeling this uplift, this connection, right? These little signals that we get, these are sensory perception that is connected to everything. Everything. And we are a part of everything. And everything is a part of us. But what happens sometimes is we become so attached to our pain. Right? Eckhart Tolle calls it the pain body. We become so entrenched in the pain body that we begin to avert ourselves from feeling. Because we don't want to feel that pain. So we close it off. And we close it off entirely and we begin to distrust our bodies because our bodies are where the pain lives. But what if the body is just where the pain is held? Not where it lives. The source of the pain is something else. What if the source of that pain were an uncompleted cycle of trauma? Right? There's the incident, there's the injury, there's the wound, there's healing, and there's acceptance. But if that cycle gets interrupted and you don't have time to achieve the healing and the acceptance of this traumatic injury, then the body waits. And our memories play themselves out in our reactions. Every feeling or reaction that we have to something now is a trigger of a memory of the feeling, right? You have these feelings and your body learns how to access these feelings. So you smell fresh baked bread coming out of the oven. It takes you back to a time when you were having a family meal and the fresh baked bread came out of the oven and it was an amazing special occasion and it felt happy and warm and safe and secure, right? So the bread comes out of the oven and you smell it and you're triggered into a body memory of that feeling, and it may be very subtle. But the same thing is happening with our negative reactions, our rejections, the things that we don't like. We are being triggered and reminded. And this serves us. This isn't a problem. This serves us. This serves us to let us know what we're experiencing, how to experience something. But oftentimes, if we are in a place that's been stuck for a long time, we begin to tell a different story about what's happening, right? We begin to conflate our memories of a traumatic, painful experience with the experience that we're having right now. And it may not be completely cognitive. We may not be completely aware that that's what we're doing. But we find ourselves reacting in really protective ways, really defensive ways. We find ourselves being brought into fight or flight. Our anxiety levels spike. Our cortisol is rushing through our body. We're tense. And we don't know why. Sometimes we just don't understand why this reaction is happening to this minor thing that's occurring right now. This is minor. But I'm feeling as if this is it. This is the end of the relationship. This is the end of the job. This is the end of whatever I may be encountering, right? This friendship's over. This person's going to leave. Whatever that may be. The tiniest thing somehow got in there. Like a piece of sand, right? It gets inside. You don't know how. But like the oyster who makes the pearl from the piece of sand, right? You've coated this thing with so many layers of defensiveness and protection that you can't see it. So these practices that we do, they help us to open to these things. And I think that's important right now. I think that's some of the most important work that I see happening, is people opening to themselves. Because if you can't sit with your suffering, if you can't understand your suffering even just a little bit, if you can't tolerate your own pain and your own suffering, then your tolerance for the suffering and pain of others is diminished. Right? You might be able to connect to the suffering and the pain of those whom you identify with on levels. You can identify with the victims of a crisis. You can identify with those who are being negatively affected by a situation. So you believe that you understand the suffering. But if you're well rehearsed, like so many of us, in ignoring your own suffering and your own pain, then you might be ignoring your ability to identify with the person whom you think is causing the suffering. Because you really don't want to. Because that kind of pain has been unbearable. The pain of hatred, the pain of ambivalence, right? The pain of apathy, the pain of disconnection has been too much to bear. So you find it difficult to identify with suffering when the suffering is expressed in these ways. But these practices are an invitation in. Because it's only when we can begin to identify suffering as suffering and not my suffering and your suffering, right? There is no my suffering. There's not an individualized suffering. There's suffering. And I have an individual experience of suffering, right? However I needed to come to understand suffering, it's going to look the way that I needed it to look to be able to get to this point of understanding suffering. And however you are experiencing your experience of suffering, that's what you needed to do to get to your understanding of the experience of suffering. But it's just suffering. It's the suffering of the world, and it does not preclude you. You are a part of this world. So finding our invitation to our experience of suffering opens us to sit in compassion for the suffering of the world. And sometimes it requires sitting with the suffering of the world first to find our way back in. Right? Whichever way you go, whichever way you come. Welcome home. Thanks for joining me on this journey home this morning. I put my hands together in the recognized position of gratitude and prayer. And my gratitude today is for the little suffering. The little sufferings that teach me the little deaths so that I can let go and receive. And I'm grateful for those little sufferings. And my prayer today is for the Sangha, for the community. May your suffering bring you to the end of suffering. So thanks again for joining me on this journey home. You can find us on Facebook, Journey Home Meditation. You can find us in a Facebook group called the Journey Home Sangha, Sangha. This is a community built around meditative practices. This isn't built around just one form of practice or just these morning sessions. Bring to it what you do, where you come from, and let's explore together different ways and paths as we stretch through this journey together. Okay. You can also find us on YouTube, Journey Home Meditation, and this is where these live streams are archived every day, Monday through Saturday. And finally, you can find us on Patreon, where you can support this project and the multiple facets of this project. Other than just doing these morning meditation sessions Monday through Saturday, we are also actively developing a program to bring these practices into elder care facilities, public schools, and correctional facilities. So I've just been approved, or at least the talk is on the table towards approval of having some umbrella from an organization to receive the funding and the go-ahead to bring these practices into the elder care facilities. So we're making headway there. And hopefully soon I'll be able to see you at in person, if you live in Southern Oregon, at a local fitness center that I'm developing a meditation program for. So we'll have a couple sessions a week live there. Otherwise, have a great weekend, guys. I'm going to try to be on tomorrow morning. I'm traveling this afternoon up to Portland. I'm going to bring my gear with me, but we'll see where I end up staying and what the internet situation's like. But I will attempt to be live for Sutra Saturday in some form or another. So have a great weekend. If I don't see you tomorrow, I'll catch you on Monday. Howdy-om.